Ruby here. 2020 has been a roller coaster of a year, and it's hard to imagine any part of society that hasn't been affected. For example, my place of employment is a corporate restaurant. It seemed like every week this year there was something new being thrown at us. A new procedure, a new rule, or less of us working. We were being thrown curveballs left and right this year. I just keep remembering us wanting to somehow communicate to the public of how we were feeling. Our industry wasn't completely shut down, and we still had our jobs, but they were made harder, and income was even more turbulent than before. I wanted to share my experience, and even some of the experience of my coworkers, but I realized that our corporate restaurant is only one in the sea of types of restaurants, and everyone was impacted differently. This week I made a survey. I sent it to some of my friends and coworkers and told them to share it, and I also shared it in a couple of Portland and Oregon Facebook groups of people who work in restaurants. My experience in our restaurant wasn't the whole story. Some people were affected less than us, and some people were affected way more. So I wanted to kind of get a broader view and perspective of what it was like for people who don't work in the industry, or maybe don't know somebody who is coming home and telling them how their day went. I made a survey. These were the 5 questions I asked. Question 1. How long have you worked in the industry, and what positions do you fulfill? Question 2. Can you describe 3 of the biggest changes you've noticed / had to change in your place of work? Question 3. How have your scheduled hours or income fluctuated over the course of the year? I said they could be as specific or vague as they want to. This survey was anonymous, but income is a touchy subject. Question 4. How has this year changed your perspective about the industry? And question 5. What do you want the public who are dining out to know? What do you want people to know who are consumers of this industry? People who are dining out, people who are getting takeout food, ordering, delivery, stuff like that. Those were my 5 questions, and I actually received 13 awesome answers from everyone. So I'm gonna start. This person has worked in the industry for 6 years as a counter clerk and as a fry cook. All this person said was mandatory masks and no more dining in. This person has worked in the industry almost 6 years as a server, bartender, shift lead, and takeout. All the things. And their 3 biggest changes are cleaning and sanitizing, gloves, sanitizing everything, masks, and distanced tables and outdoor seating only. It has definitely made a huge difference. This person has worked in the industry for 8 years as a sous chef in fine dining. Their 3 biggest changes are staffing issues. People are too scared to come to work. More guests are less than kind to work with. Guest experience has suffered indirectly due to COVID restrictions. So, because of the changes that we've had to make as employees, guest experiences have suffered. This person's been in the industry 3 years. They say it's been more stressful environment, stricter rules and regulations, overall different experience. This person has worked in the industry for 40 years, executive chef. When asked if they can describe the 3 biggest changes, they wrote business closed. This person says about 2 years, front of house, waitress, and dish and prep. Their 3 biggest changes were hours for sure. Our tips were also changed. Now we get them through our paycheck. Shifts are cut down. This person's worked for 15 years in the industry, and these are their 3 biggest changes. They write, I can't breathe under the mask nor communicate authentically and properly with my customers, as the mask shields facial expressions. Much of a service has to do with the communication with customers. It's less intimate and more difficult to communicate and very difficult to breathe while running around back and forth wearing a mask. So this person's even had a physical impact needing to do their job with restricted facial coverings. This person's worked in the industry 18 years as a server and bartender. Their 3 biggest changes are 1. People's attitudes. 2. Corporate cuts and negative effects. 3. The staff has completely come together as a team, and it's pretty incredible to see. It seems like with these changes, the staff has had to really pull together as a team to keep things going. This person has worked 5 years in the industry. I've hosted, expo, bussed, and served. Running around a restaurant while wearing a mask, trying not to pass out. 2, having to constantly change gloves, makes for slower service every time. 3, less tables, but often more work and more people. So they have less tables in the restaurant, but they now have more responsibilities, and their time is being cut due to changing gloves and washing hands even more regularly. This person has worked for 6 years as a chef and owner of a restaurant. Their changes are: customers are mostly tipping more, the cost of everything has gone up, and feeling more of a sense of camaraderie with folks who are around. So it seems like they've had a similar experience where these changes have made people have to come together to see the best in the situation, and it looks like their guests are being very appreciative of the service still being available, which is nice to hear. This person's worked for 4 years as a lead, busser, server, host, and pantry cook. This person is getting around. So their 3 biggest changes are: more lifeless. Due to limited social interaction, the main fulfillment was interacting with and giving people an experience. Also feel more isolated from coworkers, since only one person working one or multiple roles, and long shifts due to less employees to allocate hours to. So this restaurant has less employees and less hours they're allowed to give around as far as labor. So it's been kind of a social drought for this person because of that. So it seems like this person's mental health has been impacted by the change in their work environment. This person has been 5 years bartending and working takeout. Their 3 biggest changes. I think the most noticeable change is working in a mask and gloves at all times. While I'm grateful that this ensures almost zero contact, this is definitely an adjustment. Wearing gloves makes each task a tad more difficult, and wearing a mask makes it quite easy to get out of breath while running around. Another change is minimal staff, resulting in constantly overworked managers. I've never been more thankful for competent and self-directed coworkers. Another big change is dealing with a ton of third-party delivery drivers rather than straight-up customers. Interesting. So this restaurant, if they went to takeout only, as some of these restaurants have happened, they've also had to adjust to delivery services. We now have things like Grubhub, Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash. There's all of these services, and the more services a restaurant is on, the more they can sell. So they've had to really adjust to this climate. And it seems like this has been a big change for this person, that they are not even seeing guests inside giving guests takeout food, but they're just seeing random drivers that aren't guests and stuff like that. So this person's been working in the industry for 5 years. Everything from back of house to front of house to management. Their 3 biggest changes are cleanliness through the roof, decrease of people, loss of passion. That took a dive. So cleanliness through the roof, but less people and less passion. So those were everyone's responses to question 2. So now I'm going to go back to question 3 and read everyone's responses for question 3. So by the way, I made this quiz using a website called SurveyMonkey. Not sponsored by them, but hey, SurveyMonkey, I really like your website. So the plan I'm using is totally free, and they have upgraded services you can get to find even more analytics, and like if you're really making surveys your job, you could pay for it, but I use the completely free version, and it's been totally easy to make my survey and to share it, as well as to see results. So that's been really cool. So question 3, this person says about the same. Next person says cut more than half. went from working roughly 25 hours to about 8 to 12 hours. This person, I've lost more than half my income this year. With COVID lockdowns, I was laid off. Coming back was insanely difficult. Not only were the conditions stressful, but the hours and workload was exhausting. This person, as far as their hours being cut, just said business closed. It's gone from 27 hours to 6 hours. I make 35% of monthly wages I earned the past 2 to 3 years. That is insane. 65% decrease in income. Income has been steady due to unemployment. Work hours are pretty much non-existent. Being unemployed was awful because our state's online system is broke. Didn't get paid until 2 months after I started working again. 3 months without pay and another 2 without pay of those 3 months. I work less, but I also have not paid myself. As the owner, I've made the choice to keep employees around while it's slowed down, so I'm not as actively needed at the business these days. So this person is the owner and chose to give their staff hours over themselves, which is an awesome but awful sacrifice they had to make. Awesome that they could do that, but obviously not ideal, right? Lots of fluctuation in hours, but also less flexibility of getting shifts covered. Shifts are either really long or really short due to lack of staff and unpredictable business. Yeah, so maybe you're scheduled to come in 4 days a week, but 2 of those days you come in and there's not enough business for you. And in the restaurant industry, you can be sent home or, you know, if there's no work for you. Working only takeout during the 2 lockdowns. My hours were down almost half compared to the summer and fall dine-in months. This made my income almost half as well. Unfortunately, I wasn't working very much in January and February either due to personal circumstances, so the year did not start off with much income either. So this person was out of work in January and February and came back right as the lockdowns started, basically, it sounds, and so they just never kind of got to catch up, which sucks. Most hours cut in half from previous year. Some weeks high hourage due to not enough staff, and some weeks low due to too much staff. It's hard to find a balance or a sweet spot in staffing. Yeah, I've definitely experienced just staffing being so turbulent, we don't find out in time what our restrictions are, and we plan ahead. And I think this year it's just so hard to plan ahead. Usually we know at Christmas it's busy, and right after Christmas it gets slow. This year it's just been so unpredictable with the changes coming straight from our governor that can just change everything with the flip of a hat. So sounds like this was really turbulent for this person. So that brings an end to question 3. Question 4. How has this year changed your perspective of the industry? So this person writes, corporate superstore officials don't want to pay us what our efforts are worth and don't really care if someone gets sick because shutting down a whole department costs them way too much money. So health is even being forsaken for the sake of these businesses staying open. It is very fragile and not the stable and reliable source of income I always took for granted. I'm unsure now how this career of mine is sustainable. So if we remember, this person's been in the industry for 8 years, but after this year, they don't know if this job is still sustainable for them. This person writes, restaurant staff are way too underappreciated. Sped up my retirement by 5 years, not by my choice. So this has definitely long-term impacts for this person. I feel like it puts us under a lot of pressure. I think the industry doesn't know what to do. Yeah. And they keep saying, you know, unprecedented times, but really, the industry, there was no safety net for the industry for this kind of thing to happen. And I think that everyone is feeling that. No matter if you're corporate or if you're a small shop or if you've been here for 20 years or 5 years, I think no one was ready for this kinds of changes that we've had this year, and for so long, too. Intimate restaurants that are creative, mom and pop, non-chain restaurants are suffering and taking the brunt of the pain of the COVID shutdown. So that was that person's perspective. It has made me realize how a lot of the world really looks at the industry and how disposable and extremely non-essential we are. This person has said their perspective hasn't changed. In fact, it has shown me that people are still as entitled about the speed and quality of service, often with little regard for all the extra stops we are putting in for safety. This person's experience before the shutdowns were that they dealt with a lot of entitled people, and that hasn't changed, even though there's been so much extra pressure put on staff and we're working so much harder. They feel just as underappreciated. This year has made me reconsider the industry. It was never really financially stable, and this year just made it worse. So it looks like a lot of people that thought this was going to be their job for a long time, you could always find a restaurant to work at, right? I've heard that a million times, but seems like maybe people are reconsidering that. Food industry is very essential, but tends to be overlooked in general. Also, giving people an experience is very valuable. Not being able to leave home and socialize over a meal and be served is a valuable aspect in life that is missed by people that took it for granted previously. Yeah, I definitely didn't leave my house that much, and now that we've been home for so long, I'm never gonna say no to an outing again. I don't think my perspective on the industry has changed that much. People will continue to go out and eat if they can. I hope people will view restaurants as more of a luxury rather than entitlement, and hopefully appreciate table service from a human being enough that our jobs will be safe from the robots a little while longer. Also, my truly kind regulars have remained truly kind. So that's great to hear. People really make our industry rich and bring out the fullness of what it's supposed to be. So that brings us to our last question. Question 5 is, what do you want the public to know? This person says, just stay home for God's sake. Do not eat at a restaurant right now. Get takeout and tip at least 20% and be on your way. Chill out. We have a lot to deal with. Please, please, please don't make the lives of your waiters, servers, hosts, and takeout personnel harder. Wear your mask. Stop arguing or bitching. Be grateful that you are able to go out and eat. If you can help out by dining out, either in person or takeaway, I hope you do. So some people are saying, like, leave us alone, and some people are saying, like, please, we need your business. This person wants people to know that we keep clean and we keep up on our health codes, and to remember to wear a mask when you dine in. This person wants you to know the restaurant industry has always catered to serving others. Like the music industry, art industry, or performing arts, we are not a necessity, yet we offer a creative outlet for people in a space for connection and rekindling. I cannot say our government appreciates nor values this industry, as we have taken the brunt of pain and closures associated with the 2020 pandemic. Our livelihoods are at stake. I cannot pay my bills because I do not have the security of being able to work online via Zoom platforms. It is a very sad state we, the service industry, are in. In addition to loss of income, we have increased anxiety and depression as a result of our unstable livelihoods. Serving and bartending isn't as easy as people think. Not everyone can do it, and it is a real job. Please be kind and considerate to your service industry people. We are doing our best and endangering ourselves for your enjoyment. Also, the restaurants that are open in early phases are very busy, and we are tired. A lot of us don't get holidays off because y'all don't want to cook at home. Give a little extra love during the holidays and realize that we are human and we feel many stresses, and we could use a little extra kindness. This person says, please order directly from us and not from delivery services. None of the tips from a delivery service, like a third party, Grubhub or something, go to our crew. And the service takes a 10% cut, which is too much. So if you are able to go and pick up food yourself, place an order and pick it up, that restaurant benefits way more from that purchase than if you order something. And I know this, I've worked takeout and I do order delivery sometimes, but if the restaurant I'm ordering from is 5 or 10 minutes away, maybe consider seeing if you can pick it up yourself as often as you can, because the staff works just as hard for your order, but they don't get tipped on it. in that case. So that is definitely a really good thing to think about, and I'm glad this person brought that up. Be considerate and know that one person is probably managing multiple roles without getting compensated. They are glad to have privilege to work, but they are doing their best and adjusting to the new way of doing things. I've definitely experienced much more responsibility without subsidized pay in this industry recently. I wonder if customers understand the server's struggle of needing tables in order to make money, but equally wanting to stay 6 feet away from you for their own safety. I can't serve you from 6 feet away, and your mask is off. Sometimes I want to cry when I have to lean over you to set down your plate that you won't take from me. Also, I wonder if people know how much extra work their server is doing so that you can have a dine-in experience in the middle of a pandemic. So yeah, I think that everyone just needs a little more gratitude and realize that our jobs have been made much harder from this, and we're still willing to give you this experience, and we're still happy for our jobs. But it's been a huge adjustment, and not one that we want to be permanent at all. Support your business, please. Thanks for coming. We appreciate y'all. Consider what might be happening behind the scenes for workers and how hard they are probably busting their butts. Enjoy your time out and be considerate and respectful to those around you. Food industry workers are frontline workers too. Alright, so that wraps up all 13 responses that I got. If you were one of the people that responded to this survey, thank you so much for making this video possible. I didn't want to just come on here and just talk about my experience. Maybe I can make that another video if anyone cares for that, but I just know that the industry has changed so many ways for so many different people, and I wanted to give more perspective than just mine. I think it's possible that I can even make some of these videos for other industries, like people who work in grocery stores or teachers. So if you have any other ideas of videos like this that I could make, if I made it a series, that would be really cool. So tell me in the comments below if you have any ideas about other industries that I could deep dive into. Make sure you give this video a like if you got this far. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you could kind of identify with some of these people and how they're feeling. If you work in the service industry, maybe share this to some people. Share it on your Facebook so that other people who don't work in it can hear what these people have to say, because I think that a lot of these responses, like, it's really important that people know that we've been greatly impacted by this. The whole point of this video was to kind of raise awareness for this industry and how it's affected individuals, you know? Because what makes up a business except a lot of individuals? So, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.